Workplace discrimination can have a serious impact on your career, on your mental health, and your job satisfaction, as well as your overall well-being. Now, if you believe you are being discriminated against in the workplace, it is crucial to understand your rights and the steps you can take to address the issue effectively. This video will provide all of the necessary advice on each type of legally recognised discrimination and the specific actions you can take to resolve that issue and make a successful claim against your employer, along with the associated warnings and considerations of each method. My name is Cal Sandhu, and I'm your travel-sized legal advisor here to help you simplify the legal challenges faced in day-to-day life. So let's get started on the video. First, let's run through the four main types of discrimination so that you can see which one might be applicable to you. You have direct discrimination. This is where your employer is treating you less favourably because of a protected characteristic, such as age, disability, gender assignment, race, religion, sexual orientation, even marriage status or pregnancy. Second, you have indirect discrimination, which occurs when a workplace policy or procedure that applies to everyone disproportionately disadvantages certain people, such as those with a protected characteristic. For example, a work policy that states all staff are required to work 9 to 5 at all times would indirectly discriminate mothers, for example, who may need reduced hours for childcare. And the third type of discrimination is harassment, which is being the subject of unwanted behaviour related to a particular protected characteristic that violates someone's dignity or creates an intimidating, hostile, degrading or humiliating environment. An example of this would be regularly receiving or being subject to personal comments or jokes or emails regarding your race or your religion or any other protected characteristic which we discussed earlier. Finally, there is victimization, which is an important one, which involves being treated badly or victimized because you have made or supported a complaint about discrimination. It takes a lot of courage to file or support another person's complaint to your employer. And a lot of the time, people can be discriminated against and victimized as a result. Such discrimination is not legal, as employees should not be afraid to raise issues out of fear. So if any of those apply to you, then please do listen on as we get into the important actions that you must take to make a successful claim. Number 1, document everything. Keep a thorough record of any discriminatory incidents. Include dates, times, locations, individuals involved, witnesses, and a detailed description of what happened. In terms of evidence, save emails, messages, or any written communications that may form your evidence. Organise your documentation chronologically to provide a clear timeline of events. Warning, however, ensure that your documentation is factual. A court will only deal with facts. Avoid including any emotional or subjective interpretations of events in order to maintain credibility. The second step is to find and review company policy. Now, familiarise yourself with your employer's policies on discrimination, harassment, and general grievance procedures. These should be outlined in your employee handbook or available through HR. Within the same policy documentation, you should be able to identify the formal steps for reporting discrimination according to those policies. The reason for this is that company policies do vary, so specific procedures may differ. Don't just rely only on what you remember from your previous job. Ensure that you follow the correct process to avoid delays or complications. The next step is to seek support. Consider discussing your situation with a trusted colleague or a HR representative or a trade union representative in order to get their support or guidance if they have dealt with such a situation before. When confiding, it is important, however, to choose individuals who can offer support and advice without breaching confidentiality. Be cautious about whom you share your concerns with to avoid potential backlash or unwanted attention or breaches of confidentiality. You don't want to be responsible for creating too much of a hostile work environment. The fourth step then is to raise the issue informally. If appropriate and safe, approach the person responsible for the discrimination and explain how their behaviour affects you. Aim for a calm, professional discussion. Plan what you will say and focus on specific incidents and how they impacted you. Do not allow yourself to become threatening or hostile or emotional. It's important to play your hand well and, despite your urges, remain professional. Warning, however, this approach may not be suitable in severe cases or if you fear retaliation. Assess the situation carefully before proceeding here, and if this fails, we'll move on to step 5, which is to make a formal complaint. If informal resolution is unsuccessful, follow your company's formal grievance procedure. Submit your complaint in writing, providing specific details and evidence. Adhere to any timelines or steps or deadlines outlined in your company's grievance policy. Keep copies of all correspondence and follow up immediately if you do not receive a timely response. Warning, however, be prepared for potential workplace tension here. Ensure that you have support and understand possible reactions from other colleagues or from management, but be strong and don't allow yourself to succumb to victimization. Hopefully, through the formal grievance procedure, your employer takes responsibility and does his job to address and resolve the discriminatory behaviour. More often than not, formal complaints will be dealt with seriously. However, if not, we have step 6, which is to seek legal advice. If internal procedures do not resolve the issue, consult a solicitor specialising in employment law. They can assess the strengths and merits of your case and advise you on the next steps. Now, look for a legal professional with experience in discrimination cases. Many of those solicitors will offer initial consultations for free or at a reduced rate. In preparation, bring all documentation and evidence to your consultation to provide a comprehensive overview of your case. Warning, however, legal processes can be lengthy and stressful. Ensure you understand the potential outcomes and implications before proceeding, such as legal costs on mental health preservation and job satisfaction. As to how much this will cost, it will depend on the complexity of your case and the hourly rate of your lawyer, which is usually around £250 to £300 per hour. But don't let those things deter you from doing what you believe to be right. Often seeking legal advice deters people from doing this due to fear of the process and uncertainty. But if you are sure in your fact, then have confidence to see your claim through. At this point, usually a resolution will be reached or a settlement negotiated between the parties, as your solicitor will be able to advise you on the merits of your claim and your best course of action. However, if all fails and your employer is still not playing ball, you can always attempt our final step, which is to file a claim with an employment tribunal. If all else fails, you can file a claim with an employment tribunal. Claims must be filed within 3 months, that's 1 day, of the Discriminatory Act. However, only around 5% of cases even require this, as most of them settle well before trial. In terms of the process, you need to complete and submit the ET1 claim form, providing detailed information about your case. I've attached a link to the page in which you can find this form below, but it is recommended you consult with a professional before completing and submitting this form. In terms of fees, while there is no fee to file a claim, legal representation and other associated costs may arise. As a warning, be aware the tribunal process is complex and requires substantial evidence and takes a long time also. So legal representation is highly recommended to navigate this effectively. Now, before I leave you, it would be prudent to give you some final considerations with regards to reporting discrimination in the workplace. So please take note of these. Consideration 1, retaliation. Be aware that reporting discrimination can sometimes lead to retaliation. While that is illegal, it can still happen. So just stay strong and be ready for it. And document any retaliatory actions and report them immediately. The second one is emotional impact. Now, workplace discrimination can be extremely emotionally taxing. Consider seeking support during the process from a friend or from a counsellor or from a therapist to help manage your stress and anxiety. 3 is confidentiality. As discussed before, maintain confidentiality when discussing your case. Sharing too much information with the wrong individuals can lead to further complications. 4th, job security. Although the law protects against unfair dismissal due to discrimination complaints, some employers may look for other reasons to terminate your employment as a result. I will do a video on unfair dismissal as part of this series, so do keep your eyes out for that. And finally, professionalism. Throughout the process, maintain professionalism. This is a powerful card in your hand and will protect you from any adverse claims. Continue performing your duties to the best of your ability to preserve your credibility and your professional reputation. All right, guys, that concludes this video. But remember, ultimately, you have the right to work in an environment free from discrimination. That is your right. By taking the appropriate steps that I've outlined for you, you can protect that right and work towards a fair resolution with your employer. If you've learned or taken anything of value from this video, drop me a like or maybe even subscribe to my channel to ensure that you have qualified legal advice in your back pocket at all times. Thank you for watching.